Have you ever wondered how our civilization came to be? Let's start from the very beginning. As far back as we can trace, the dawn of civilization is a story of human ingenuity and adaptability. Picture this. Over 10,000 years ago, our ancestors, the Homo sapiens, began to gather in larger groups, forming the earliest known human settlements. It was a time of change, a shift from a nomadic lifestyle of hunting and gathering to a more settled existence. This monumental shift was largely due to the development of agriculture. The discovery that seeds could be planted to grow crops was a game changer. It meant that humans could stay in one place, cultivate the land, and produce a reliable food source. This, in turn, led to the rise of the first villages and eventually, the first cities. But of course, the journey didn't stop there. As these early settlements grew and thrived, humans continued to innovate. One of the most significant of these innovations was the invention of the wheel. This simple yet revolutionary device made transport easier and opened up new possibilities for trade and travel. Meanwhile, on the banks of the Nile, the Egyptians were making their own mark on civilization. They built the pyramids, magnificent structures that still stand today, a testament to their engineering prowess and their belief in an afterlife. Over in Mesopotamia, the Sumerians were busy writing their own chapter in the history books. They developed the first known form of writing, cuneiform, thereby creating one of the cornerstones of civilization, recorded history. The Sumerians also established city-states, each with its own government and god, setting the stage for the concept of the nation-state. And so, from the humble beginnings of early human settlements, through the development of agriculture, the invention of the wheel, the building of the pyramids, and the rise of the Sumerians, civilization began to take shape. Thus, the stage was set for the next chapter in human history. From the cradle of civilization, mighty empires emerged. Imagine a time when the world was divided into powerful domains, each ruled by ambitious leaders who sought to expand their territories. This was the era of ancient empires, a time when civilizations such as the Egyptians, Greeks, and Romans reigned supreme. Let's journey back to these times, beginning with the land of the pharaohs. The ancient Egyptian empire, with its grand pyramids and intricate hieroglyphs, was a marvel of the ancient world. The Egyptians were not just skilled builders, but also pioneers in writing, agriculture, and governance, setting the stage for future civilizations. Now let's sail across the Mediterranean to Greece, where city-states like Athens and Sparta were in their prime. The Greeks weren't just fierce warriors, they were philosophers, mathematicians, and artists, shaping much of the Western culture that we know today. Remember the Trojan War? That legendary conflict immortalized in Homer's epic, the Iliad, was a testament to the Greeks' military prowess and their love for heroic narratives. Further east, a young conqueror named Alexander the Great was making his mark. Rising from the kingdom of Macedonia, Alexander created one of the largest empires in the world, stretching from Greece to Egypt and as far east as India. His tactical genius and indomitable spirit have become the stuff of legends. Finally, we arrive at the mighty Roman Empire, a civilization that would become one of the most powerful in history. The Romans were renowned for their architectural innovations, legal systems, and military strategies. However, despite its grandeur, the Roman Empire wasn't invincible. Internal strife, economic instability, and relentless invasions led to its eventual downfall, marking the end of an era. Each of these ancient empires in their rise and fall played a pivotal role in shaping the world as we know it. They were crucibles of innovation, culture, and power, their influences still visible in our modern world. These empires left a lasting legacy that shaped the course of history. The fall of Rome plunged the world into what we now know as the Middle Ages. As the grandeur of Rome faded into history, a new era dawned. The Middle Ages, a period spanning from the 5th to the 15th century. This was a time of rapid change and remarkable resilience. It was during this period that two of the world's major religions, Christianity and Islam, expanded across continents, shaping societies and cultures in their wake. Christianity, initially recognized and adopted by the Roman Empire, continued to grow in influence after the empire's fall. Monasteries and churches became centers of learning and refuge, preserving knowledge through the Dark Ages. In contrast, Islam, born in the 7th century in the Arabian Peninsula, spread swiftly across North Africa, the Middle East, and parts of Europe, bringing with it advances in science, mathematics, and culture. The Middle Ages also witnessed a series of religious wars known as the Crusades. Fought over 2 centuries, these conflicts saw Christian Europe attempt to reclaim the Holy Land from Muslim control. Despite the violence and loss, the Crusades sparked a period of increased trade and cultural exchange between East and West. But it wasn't all religion and war. The Middle Ages saw the rise of feudalism, a societal structure where land was granted in exchange for service and loyalty. This system, though often harsh and oppressive, provided stability during a time of frequent conflict and uncertainty. And then, there was the Black Death. This devastating pandemic swept across Europe in the 14th century, wiping out an estimated third of the population. Yet, out of this tragedy, the seeds of the modern world began to sprout. The massive loss of life led to labor shortages, sparking social and economic changes that would eventually topple the feudal system. The Middle Ages came to a close with the dawning of the Renaissance, a rebirth of art, learning and thought that drew inspiration from the classical world. This period signaled the end of medieval times and the beginning of the modern era. The Middle Ages was a time of great change, paving the way for the modern world. The dawn of the modern era brought with it unprecedented change. As the curtains raise on the modern era, we find ourselves at the cusp of the Age of Discovery. This period, stretching from the 15th to the 17th century, saw European explorers traversing the globe, driven by a thirst for new lands, resources, and trade routes. This era of exploration expanded our understanding of the world and laid the groundwork for globalization. But as the wheels of progress turned, they also sparked revolutions. The late 18th century bore witness to 2 seismic shifts in the political landscape: the American and French Revolutions. The American Revolution, fueled by the desire for self-governance and freedom from British rule, birthed a new nation founded on democratic principles. Across the Atlantic, the French Revolution echoed these sentiments, toppling a monarchy and sowing the seeds of liberty, equality, and fraternity. The spirit of democracy spread like wildfire, challenging the traditional power structures and paving the way for the rise of the common man. But this period was not without its contradictions. As democracy took root, the specter of imperialism loomed large. European powers, buoyed by their technological advancements, embarked on a scramble for Africa, Asia, and the Americas, subjugating indigenous populations and exploiting their resources. The 19th century heralded the Industrial Revolution, a period of rapid industrialization that forever altered our way of life. This revolution, driven by advancements in technology and manufacturing, transformed societies from largely agrarian to industrial and urban. It brought about significant changes in every aspect of daily life, from the way we work to the way we live. The modern era, with its waves of discovery, revolution, democracy, and industrialization, was a time of contrasts. On one hand, it was a period of great progress and innovation, and on the other, it was an era marked by exploitation and inequality. But through it all, the spirit of humanity persevered, shaping and being shaped by the tides of history. The modern era set the stage for the world as we know it today. In the blink of an eye, we've arrived at the present day. The contemporary world, a period marked by great upheaval and yet great progress. We saw the world divided and united by 2 world wars. The first, beginning in 1914, reshaped the political landscape of Europe. The second, starting in 1939, was a conflict of unprecedented scale, touching nearly every corner of the globe. In the aftermath, the world was split into 2 ideological powerhouses, the United States and the Soviet Union. This gave rise to the Cold War era, a tense standoff that lasted until the Soviet Union's downfall in 1991. In the midst of these global conflicts, transformation was brewing on the home front. The civil rights movement in the United States, led by figures like Martin Luther King Jr., fought against racial discrimination and for equal rights. This movement sparked similar fights for justice across the globe, shaping our contemporary understanding of equality and human rights. But the contemporary world is not just marked by warfare and social revolution, it's also a time of incredible technological advancement. The advent of the internet in the late 20th century revolutionized communication, transforming how we work, learn, and connect with one another. It gave birth to the digital age, an era of rapid technological progress that we're still navigating today. And let's not forget about the environmental movement. As we become more aware of our impact on the planet, there's been a global push towards sustainability. We're starting to understand that our survival depends on the health of our environment, and we're taking steps to protect it. And so we've arrived at the present day. Who knows what the future holds? But one thing is for certain, we are shaped by our past. The wars, the revolutions, the technological advancements, they've all played a part in creating the world we live in today. The story of our past is the story of us, and as we look to the future, we carry that history with us, shaping and being shaped by the world around us.